Presenting the 2018 AIA Pennsylvania Architectural Excellence Design Awards submissions. Thank you to all participating firms for their support of the 2018 Architectural Excellence Design Awards program. The 2018 Architectural Excellence Design Awards broadcast's original score is courtesy of Christopher Brooks, Senior Consultant for Acoustic Distinctions, Violin with Canor, John Milosic, Accordion and Voice, L.J. Palmer, Percussion.
partnership, AIA and its members are both eligible to participate in any programs that we have. We are a very comprehensive credit union, so we offer far more than just accounts. In fact, we have a very strong focus on aggressive rates on commercial lending, and we're extremely thankful to partner with AIA through their ongoing efforts throughout the state of Pennsylvania, locally, on making the Commonwealth a better place. So the buildings that the architects build, having that great sense of pride and joy when you start and complete the project, we feel that same sense of pride and joy when we help finance it. And just knowing that you're part of making the region and the state a better place, that's what makes this partnership even greater. So we fully support AIA and all of its members, and we look forward to continuing to develop Central Pennsylvania and the Commonwealth.
So when you arrive to the 31st floor off the elevator, you see the wall to the right. There's light that cascades down the surface. And I think immediately what one starts to wonder is, what is it? But then once you're in front of it, you understand that it's a highly ordered network of steel that creates this pattern.
If you go back 40 years in Pittsburgh, where we are was the heart of the red light district.
Most people deep in their psyches believe we are still the blast furnace from hell. One of the exciting things about being a Pittsburgher is just how pleasantly surprised people are at their re-engagement of Pittsburgh in its current form.
The Heinz Endowment's asked Project RE to collaborate in developing a feature wall for the lobby of their 31st floor renovation. The design of the wall is predicated on our mission statement of Project RE, which is to reuse materials, rebuild communities, and restore lives. Project RE is a collaboration between the Carnegie Mellon University Urban Design Build Studio, the Trade Institute of Pittsburgh, and Construction Junction, which is a material repurposing center located in Pittsburgh. We started looking at how can we take all of these discarded plates and find the logic in them of how they might mesh and interlock, and see if we can create a texture out of that. Then we really got into the mechanics of how do we pull this off.
The students I work with, they were ex-convicts and come out of there and want to better themselves.
I was incarcerated. From there, I was able to get an opportunity to become a welding student, get my certifications, and now I'm currently a welding apprentice.
Got caught up, did prison time, came out, I decided, I can't be doing this anymore. I want to set an example for my little nephews. Just let them see me be the person that they know I could have been, a long time ago.
What's so ironic about this steel wall is the scrap test plates from the first class of welding students were put into the hands of the design students at the Urban Design Build Studio and then constructed by the students of the welding program, who I think a lot of them might have felt at one point in their life while they were sitting incarcerated that they were scrap themselves. What this place represents is you can redeem just about anything.
It's a piece that you can't just walk by. And if you know anything about Pittsburgh, you almost automatically get it on a fabrication level. And then the deeper you get into it, the more you realize this is about the route to our future.
Working on these projects has broadened my view of what architecture can be. It helps elevate the level of our work.
I just want a stable life, be able to take care of my family. I don't want nothing more, nothing less.
I came from doing things that weren't positive to actually transforming and becoming someone that I can be happy looking at in the mirror at the end of the day.
If these walls could talk, what story will they tell? From the kids who enjoy their years there, from the homeless person who didn't have a place to live, what story will it tell from the drug addicts and drug users and dealers? The story that it could tell is being told if you look closely at the art.
The building had been vacant since at least the early 1980s.
The building was a haven for drugs and crime.
All kind of prostitution, drug sales.
A lot of trash, a lot of debris, a lot of damage.
Every single surface had some type of graffiti on it.
Your initial gut reaction is, oh my gosh, we got to tear this apart.
The school is on the National Registry, and so we wanted to preserve the building in the neighborhood. HELP USA is committed to providing affordable, decent housing. They have partnered with us to make sure that we're collectively working to address the housing crisis in a city that has a desperate need for affordable housing.
We sat down and met with the Housing Authority to talk about any potential land that they had that was available for us to do another project, and they brought the school building up. It's really sort of a remarkable looking building. So we worked with the Housing Authority and negotiated a long-term lease, and then went about securing the financing. The community was very supportive of the fact that we were going to renovate the building because it really was the last big blighted structure in that part of the neighborhood.
Every kid who grew up in the project went to this school.
That's right.
And to see it refurbished and brought back to life is a blessing.
They were also happy that we were doing it as affordable, because a lot of the long-term residents were feeling like they were starting to be pushed out of the neighborhood. School buildings in particular make a lot of sense for affordable housing.
Classrooms are generally a really good size for an apartment. So without having to deconstruct the historic properties of a building, you can take that space and reuse it. I have a huge sense of pride for providing really, really great housing for people that can't afford it otherwise.
My name's Karen Hunter. I was in the United States Army for 17 years. I got hurt while I was in, and it was a good tour, and I think they're taking good care of us now. I hope they do more projects like this. This closet is where the teacher said, go get some paper or crayons or whatever. I replaced the pens and pencils in the books with flour, sugar, and salt and pepper. This right here used to be the partition that separated classrooms from another classroom. Look at that, Anthony. Now he probably lives around the corner as an old man right now. You can see the history here. All this is original, even this here. All that's original.
I'll never forget this, never. This was the basketball setup. We ran 4 courts this way, and we ran it this way. Here, these are gates I touched more than 50-something years ago. Isn't this incredible? Years and time changes, structures change. But I'll tell you one thing about this Spring Garden structure, it's solid, it's for life. It's for life. It's gonna always be here.
It's a tough mix to figure out how to grow without forgetting your history and how to grow without having too much change. I think that more funding for adaptive reuse and preservation would be welcome.
As governor of Pennsylvania and the father of an architect, I know the value that architects bring to our great Commonwealth. Architects unite our communities through their designs and innovative thinking. Architects are stewards of sustainability and the health, safety, and welfare of the public. And they use these principles to guide them as they practice, ensuring better spaces and places for our residents to live, work, and play. We're seeing that here in Harrisburg. The team here at AIA Pennsylvania is meeting regularly with the Department of General Services on my Go Time and Lean PA initiatives, which are improving customer service and making government more efficient. Through collaborations like this, we can advocate for sustainability and update building codes, make our schools safer by design, and ensure the public's health and safety are always a priority. I am happy to be a part of AIA Pennsylvania's second annual Virtual Design Awards broadcast, which recognizes the great work that Pennsylvania's architects are doing. Impact design is rooted in the core belief that design can be used to create positive social, environmental, and economic change. There were a lot of great submissions, and competition was intense. The jury had to make some tough calls, but here are the best of the best projects from AIA Pennsylvania's statewide membership. Congratulations to the award recipients, and thank you for all that you do to make Pennsylvania a better place.
Debuting the 2018 AIA Pennsylvania Architectural Excellence and Special Awards. We'd like to extend thanks to our sponsors: Brightwood Architecture Education, Finner and Esler, Klein and Hoffman, Langan, Members First Federal Credit Union, Offit Kermanen, Attorneys at Law, MMP&S, Desmone Architects, University of Pennsylvania, Civil and Environmental Consultants, Inc. The 2018 AIA Pennsylvania Emerging Professional Awards are brought to you by Brightwood Architecture Education. Brightwood is committed to designing study materials and resources that support your educational and career goals. As you build out your exam schedule and work toward completing your ARE exams, Brightwood study packages provide everything you need to pass. Our faculty have professional architectural experience and understand how to best prepare you for these difficult exams. We look forward to helping you along your journey to becoming a licensed architect. The Emerging Professional Award seeks to recognize the exceptional achievements and future promise of a licensed architect, and to promote their continuing development. This recipient had demonstrated design excellence, leadership in practice, leadership in education, and service to the profession and society. We would like to present the Emerging Professional Award to Seth Wentz, AIA. Serving the AIA on multiple levels, holding local, state, and national chapter positions, Seth has advocated for the profession and associate member services since 2006. His strong commitment to the profession and belief that good design is a necessity, not a luxury, have guided him since graduating from Philadelphia University. Seth credits his accomplishments to having strong mentors during his early professional career. In turn, he believes in the power of mentorship, having volunteered for groups like ACE Mentoring and continuing his involvement with AIA and high school mentorship programs. The Associate Award recognizes exceptional contributions to the profession by an AIA Pennsylvania Associate member who graduated in the last 10 years. These recipients have demonstrated both professional and civic leadership in their design work and their work with the AIA. We would like to present the 2018 Associate Award to Rachel Haynes, Associate, AIA. Rachel Haynes enjoys being an active member of local community service and networking groups since her graduation from Syracuse University, and currently works in downtown Lancaster as an intern architect at Tippett's Weaver Architects. She loves helping clients discover their ideal designs and problem-solving the issues that arise during construction. In her free time, she volunteers as an ACE mentor to teach high school students about careers available in the building industry. She also serves on the board of the AIA Central PA, planning their fundraising and peer mentoring events to help bring together the local design community. The 2018 AIA Pennsylvania Student Awards are brought to you by CEC, Civil and Environmental Consultants, Des Moines Architects, and the University of Pennsylvania. The AIA Pennsylvania Student Awards recognize students from all 7 NAAB-accredited schools in Pennsylvania. The Student Awards recognize the exceptional scholastic achievement and future promise of a graduating student. These students were selected by their faculty and have proven to be proficient in both academics and design, and ready to take on the challenges and responsibilities of the work environment in an architecture firm. We would like to present the 2018 Student Awards to Carnegie Mellon University, Timothy Khalifa; Drexel University, Elias Ajaya; Marywood University, Emily Fischetti; Penn State University, Micah Kissick; Thomas Jefferson University, Bruce Brumbaugh; Temple University, Kyle Tavira; University of Pennsylvania, Irina White. The following 24 firms have been awarded the Epic Firm recognition for 2018. The 3 main criteria for the Epic Firm recognition, formerly the Firms Fostering Emerging Professionals recognition, include the quality of the Architectural Experience Program, AXP, leadership, and the level of support and flexibility offered by a firm throughout the ARE testing process. Crabtree Rohrbaugh and Associates, Digsaw, HDR, TKS Architects Inc., Himmler Kamade Architects, The Hayes Design Group Architects, Gensler, WRT, SCF Architecture LLC, Francis Kaufman, BDA Architects, BLT Architects, IKM Incorporated, KSS Architects, Kimmel Bogret Architecture and Site Inc., RLPS Architects, PZS Architects, Paradigm Architecture LLC, Murphy and Dittenhafer Architects, BRR Architecture, Renaissance 3 Architects LLC, Breslin Ridyard Federo Architects, PJA Architecture PC, Atkin Olshan Shade Architects. Welcome to the AIA Pennsylvania Architectural Excellence Digital Design Awards broadcast. Tonight would not be possible without you, the members, the board members of AIA Pennsylvania, the awards committee, the AIA Pennsylvania team, and most importantly, our sponsors. The AIA Pennsylvania 50-Year Timeless Award is given in recognition of a building that has endured the test of time and still resonates with the design community and the public. AIA Pennsylvania presents Pittsburgh's Mellon Square and Alcoa Building with the 2018 50-Year Timeless Award. In 1949, the Mellon family donated a block of Pittsburgh's downtown to create Mellon Square, a public plaza with street-level retail and a 6-story parking garage beneath. The story goes that over a Labor Day weekend in 1955, James Mitchell of Pittsburgh-based Mitchell & Ritchie Architects, now DRS Architects, drew up the basic concept of a park and underground garage. His sketch won the approval of R.K. Mellon. Mitchell & Ritchie worked closely with landscape architects Simmons & Simmons, now Environmental Planning and Design, to complete the square in October of 1955. Slightly more than an acre, the surface park is an oasis of fountains, terrazzo walks, granite benches, and a variety of vegetation. Harrison and Abramowitz worked with Mellon Square architecture firm Mitchell & Ritchie to complete the former headquarters of the Aluminum Company of America, or Alcoa Building, in 1953. Overlooking Mellon Square, the building was designed to show off the decorative and functional use of the aluminum. It was the lightest tall office building ever built, with the world's first aluminum facade. In 2012, PMC Property Group of Philadelphia acquired the renamed Regional Enterprise Tower and converted floors 14 through 31 from offices to apartments, employing the architectural services of Pittsburgh-based firm Strada, one of 2 architecture firms located in the building. As of 2017, the Pittsburgh arm of Bolin Sywinski Jackson also calls the Alcoa Building home.
Great cities are ones that have spaces for people. People-oriented spaces work best when there is a lot of activity at the ground floor surrounding that square or that piazza. Think about Union Square and Gramercy Park in New York City. You know what great people spaces those are. So Pittsburgh, and this is speculation on my part, having sort of this working class ethic, we're all serious, we're all about business, did not have a great tradition of public places where people could sit and relax. As I understand the story, with Alcoa starting as a corporation here in the 19th century, and having their headquarters here, that there was a movement afoot after the war to move the headquarters to New York City. The Mellon family, particularly Richard King Mellon, did not want to see that happen and put a lot of pressure on Alcoa at that time to consider staying in the downtown core. And part of that deal was to create a parking garage, and the parking garage then got covered with this iconic Mellon Square Park. And that parking garage was to serve the needs of the Alcoa Corporation. And so Mellon Square was really important because it was surrounded by tall buildings, from the William Penn on the one side to the Alcoa Building, and then the Oliver Building across Smithfield Street. From the moment it opened, it was perceived as an oasis where workers could take a lunch break, a coffee break, a smoke break, and just come out and relax in that space and be surrounded by great architecture and lots of activity at the ground level. The Alcoa Building started roughly under construction in 1951. Dieter Ritchie Sippel was the architect for the Mellon Square, and that happened in the 2 years following the completion of the Alcoa Building. So it was really close 5-year span. Alcoa was part of a broader movement going on at that time in the United States in terms of modernism. Alcoa Building was supposed to feature aluminum, so aluminum panels on the outside, aluminum decorative panels on the inside, aluminum wiring, aluminum pipes for heating and cooling all of the office spaces. So it really maxed out on the use of aluminum and finding ways to make the building a teaching laboratory, as it were, for how to use these materials going forward.
In terms of the process of constructing the outside of a high-rise building, a masonry building like the William Penn would of course require masons and scaffolding to put all the bricks and backup materials on it. This is one of the first, what we would now call unitized enclosure systems. So that building was erected, each panel was put in place as opposed to individual sticks or individual bricks that were put together. So what we call that today is unitized construction.
What's really important about this building, one of the people that I really admire is Stuart Brand. His greatest book is How Buildings Learn, and it talks about the different service lives of all the components within the building, that the structure lasts forever and the mechanical systems last maybe 15 years and the enclosure lasts 30 years. And so a really successful building, a building that learns and adapts with time, is able to swap out those systems and continue to be relevant and important office space or residential space. So I think the Alcoa building has demonstrated its timelessness by having undergone this huge transformation, that they were able to reuse this building, so it was never demolished. It's substantially in its original form, so to me that really is the proof of time, is that it remains as an important structure within the urban fabric. The timeless significance of Mellon Square and the Alcoa building, in my mind, is related to the revisioning of the city, and that these buildings played a really significant role in beginning the process of making Pittsburgh the city that it is today.
Impact designers span a wide range of design disciplines but are tied together by a common goal: to design and create a better world through innovative, scalable, and measurable solutions. Impact design is rooted in the core belief that design can be used to create positive social, environmental, and economic change, and focuses on actively measuring impact to inform and direct the design process. The Urban Design Build Studio, UDBS, is a collaborative of students, professors, and professionals that work with community residents through participatory processes on the implementation of appropriate, conditionally specific, replicable design solutions. Founded in 2008 and directed by John Folan, AIA, the mission of the UDBS is to empower all sectors of the public in catalyzing positive urban futures while simultaneously educating Carnegie Mellon University students to be thoughtful architects, makers, and citizens.
I'm very happy to be here today at Perkins & Will to look at AIA Pennsylvania projects. I've taken a sneak peek at a few projects, and I'm eager to talk with my colleagues and make some decisions about what projects are excellent.
The jury process is to find work that's extraordinarily thoughtful and extraordinarily well executed. The most challenging part is to truly understand the intent of the designer and to comprehend the difficulty that each problem presented.
It's a tremendous responsibility being a juror. Firms put a lot of time and energy into these projects, and you want to make sure that you are giving them a fair review and that you and your colleagues sitting on the jury actually have a robust discussion about the issues. And I think these competition juries actually give us an opportunity to step outside of ourselves and really look broadly at what the profession is doing and the contribution that they're making to cities and states around the country.
And it's always very exciting to see what other people are doing and all the great ideas that architects are coming up with to manifest in material reality. I'm very eager to look for projects that think about design as a tool for helping people, making their lives better, making them more efficient, making cultures more effective. And I'm interested in projects that, through architecture, look toward innovation.
It's important to recognize that your work is being gathered as sort of a snapshot of where we are at this point in time. And your participation in that conversation is extremely important, even if you don't win a prize. And what we're saying as architects in a professional organization to the public about our intentions is absolutely invaluable.
There's an extraordinary range of work that is submitted as part of this competition, and just having the opportunity to kind of go through it and understand what the profession brings as a whole to society is a great opportunity.
Honor awards are granted at the jury's discretion to any project that bears an exceptional aspect that the jury feels represents excellence. For the category of Interior Architecture in College Park, Maryland, we present Ballinger with an honor award for University of Maryland, A. James Clark Hall. For the category of Interior Architecture in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, we present Staniv Potts Architects with an honor award for Project Manna Headquarters. For the category of Architecture in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, we present Bolin Sywinski Jackson with an honor award for the Frick Environmental Center. For the category of Architecture in Willits, California, we present Kieran Timberlake with an honor award for High Horse Ranch. For the category of Architecture in Miami, Florida, we present Timothy Haas and Associates with an honor award for Miami Design District Museum Garage. This award will be given for contribution to the built environment by a contractor, developer, civil engineer, or other allied professional. It is to honor those professionals who bring our work into reality and who uphold the tenets of design, sustainability, and collaboration. CH&E began as a general contracting and construction company. In 1981, a partnership was formed by three good friends, John Caldwell, Jack Heckles, and Peter Egan. The Lancaster-based company was incorporated in 1985. The early roots of CH&E is grounded in fine woodworking. CH&E maintains a 4,000 square foot architectural millwork shop. CH&E views their hallmark to be fine craftsmanship. These capabilities, along with their dedicated staff, project managers, and on-site superintendents, is what sets them apart. This award honors individuals, corporations, associations, or other groups who do not practice architecture. Recipients will be cited for their direct contributions to the profession, such as a building program, a public works project, publications, theoretical or applied research in zoning, urban design, interiors, planning, energy conservation, preservation, restoration transportation, industrial design, artistic endeavors, or other significant disciplines which have had a strong influence on the field of architecture. As the region's leading green building organization, Green Building United promotes the development of buildings that are sustainable, healthy for inhabitants, resilient, and cost-effective. Through education, advocacy, and strategic initiatives, Green Building United informs and engages individuals and organizations to transform the way buildings and communities are designed, built, and operated. With more than 550 members and a dedicated network of volunteers, we are excited to see our impact continue to grow in the region. Bronze awards are granted, at the jury's discretion, to projects that exemplify the highest excellence in design in any category. Architecture. Outside In, ISA, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
The Outside In uses an interesting premise as its design concept. The core is at the center. It's made out of wood. you live around it in white space. A very, very small house, this works really well.
The variation really impressed me about these multiple tiny houses that were presented to us through this award system. We saw multiple different solutions on these tiny little lots that really surprised me, because I would have just figured there's only a very small handful of solutions. In fact, there's any number of solutions that are possible, and that's commendable.
Yeah, I think the clarity of this, maximizing the living space on the perimeter so that you get good natural light, and centralizing things like bathrooms and kitchens, made for a tremendously efficient design that was really well executed.
Tiny Tower, ISA, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
The ingenuity that went into designing this in a way that not only produced this multi-story house, but created it and designed it in such a way to allow for very unique set of serially located spaces in the house was very impressive.
What's fascinating about this project is it forces you to rethink what you believe about houses and how you live. I mean, Americans live in houses that are organized horizontally, sometimes very horizontally, and this turns that around.
All of that was done with such an amazing clarity that it was a rare example of when the simplicity of the diagrams actually carries all the way through into the execution of the architecture. So it's a really, really even level of development, very strong.
Walnut Estates, Moto Design Shop, Society Hill, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
So Walnut Estates in Philadelphia is a collection of urban row homes that mediate between the street and the building with these sort of wavy curtains of brick. And I think that the overall composition is a great addition to the streetscape. They managed to mediate really well between the scale of the row homes, traditional row homes on one side, and high-rise housing on the other.
I really appreciated the brick detail. This is not your father's brick. The architect has made brick feel like a film, like gauze, rather than the very solid material that the way it's been used in the past.
I'm interested in how people enter the building through these small steps that lead into this small private vestibule then into the buildings. I think having these steps lead out onto the public street is quite a nice way to soften that typically hard edge between the threshold of public and private.
The Study at University City, Digsau, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
The Study at University City is actually not a study. It is rather a boutique hotel that fits into its environment very, very well.
I appreciated the clarity of the massing of this project. We have a public function on the ground floor, a kind of plinth above that people can walk out onto to some public space to get a different view of the city, and then the residences above.
They took a relatively simple building type and relatively traditional organization vertically, and managed to get a lot out of it.
Historic preservation. Century Inn, Margottai Architects, Scenery Hill, Pennsylvania.
The Century Inn is a really interesting project, almost totally destroyed by fire. The architect has reassembled it in such a careful fashion, it's almost impossible to tell that it's new.
You're keeping the identity, especially a meaningful identity through architecture for a community, is profoundly important, I think, these days. There's an authenticity to this structure that was preserved. The architects were clearly sensitive to adding, or even in some cases just preserving intact what the original intentions of the original architect were, was done very successfully.
It's clear that the firm restoring this project really saw the value that it gave to the community and wanted to make sure that it was restored to its original condition, and did a great job doing that.
Ha'Penny Barns Restoration, Cotter and Kelly Architects, Berks County, Pennsylvania.
So the Ha'Penny Barn Restoration in Burke County, Pennsylvania is a real jewel box of historic preservation. This very utilitarian structure was lovingly restored to really what it must have been originally when it opened.
The value of the care the architect took is that you still feel the original building. So many times that's what a reuse or an adaptive reuse misses entirely. The new part looks too new and the old part looks too old. This project gets it right.
The rawness and utilitarian nature of it that's cleaned up in a way that just allows everyone, not just architects, but everyone, to see the value in old construction techniques and ways of putting buildings together that is very visible and very understandable. The architects did a very commendable job here to do that.
Impact Design. The Oval Plus, 2017 and 2018. Port, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
After seeing this project, I believe that every city should have an oval. One of the jury comments, one of the things we discussed at length was that the actual photos didn't look like photographs, they looked like a collage. And I think that type of excitement is exactly what cities need to become places of interaction and places of community. This is a great project, keep doing it.
In a park, in the city, to have this kind of cultural set of events, communication opportunities, and just data that seems to be in relationship to people using this site seems really exciting and seems like a great opportunity for people to come together, think about their community, and maybe learn something together as well as do things together.
I think a big part of the success of the project is due to the very colorful and cleverly done graphics, which really animate the ground plane and just make people feel festive just by being in the space.
REACH, Mobile Computer Literacy Training Lab, Urban Design Build Studio, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Part of what made it so great is that kind of social mission of using design to be able to help people learn about, in this case, computer technology. I thought it was a really smartly developed system in which all of the component pieces come together into a nice little vehicle that's easy to transport from location to location and easy to set up.
It was great to see that more than one was manufactured also. That was very encouraging. I think in the next version, the designers should be encouraged to incorporate chairs and a generator.
Yeah, portable pop-ups have always fascinated me. When they just show up, things happen, communities get involved, and people get to interact with one another in ways that never really happens when we don't have to set up and take down our spaces. Typically just show up, do something, and then leave. This is more almost like a picnic or some kind of a social event where people get fully engaged in the design of this object, the way it works, and then the way that it moves on to the next space.
Interior Architecture. Perlman Auditorium, MGA Partners, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
The Perlman Auditorium is the definition of interior architecture. It elegantly inserts an entire auditorium in an existing space, and it feels absolutely right. It's very elegant, it's very well detailed.
I like the fact that this is like a reverse amphitheater, where instead of walking down into the seating area, you walk up. And it's like this auditorium that's just in a flat space. And the first question is, well, what kind of architecture is it that allows this to happen? And the idea that it's objectified or created as a freestanding object in the space just makes it that much stronger, that much really an artistic object that it's easy to see how the architects use the space in a way that strengthens both the existing historic nature of the building, but also really gives it a totally new function in a new way.
One of the really nice things about this is it's almost like its own piece of furniture, and so it creates a room within a room. And I think that it shows the level of respect that the architects had for the space they were working in and allowed them to really repurpose that space in a way that was respectful but design forward.
Regional and urban design. Busway Futures, Penn Station Transit Plaza. Evolve Environment Architecture, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Busway Futures Penn Station project is an example of really thoughtful master planning work to try and reimagine a very complicated intersection in the city of Pittsburgh.
For me, the important thing about this project is it reimagines Penn Station again as a center for transportation. And in doing it, it actually makes all the forms of transportation from bus to car to train presentable again.
I appreciate the multifunctional, programmatic qualities of this project, where there's just any number of transportation-based infrastructure coming together with social space, a kind of cultural project that's based around all these different forms of movement, of people moving around on foot, people moving around on bicycles, presumably, the car, the train, the bus, all converging in this hub of the city, and then the designers coming in to make this an important epicenter of the city.
New York 4th Regional Plan, the Highlands, Port and Range, New York.
The Highlands New York Regional Plan is massive and visionary.
The idea of stitching together all of the green assets, the natural capital, in a region is just so critical these days when it's only becoming more and more fragmented, more and more at risk of becoming so torn apart that its usefulness as a natural element is degraded beyond any ability to get it back.
Yeah, this is a really daunting urban problem to tackle, and the scale of it was, I think, really impressive to us. The fact that it really is a master plan not just for New York, but almost for the whole Northeast regional corridor, from the kind of urban edge all the way to the rural edge, and trying to figure out how to best develop that into the future so that every place along that spectrum is maximized.
Unbuilt. Ozark Podium, Digsow, Bentonville, Arkansas.
The Ozark Podium tries to solve a very special problem that's happening in mid-sized American cities. How do you densify the downtowns? How do you densify residential areas in those towns? This project is graceful, it's inventive, and I can't wait to see it built.
These kind of projects that are these super block type projects usually fail because they become gated communities. They create borders or edges that are impenetrable and inaccessible. But what this project does is it is a super block, but it stitches together a number of elements around the neighborhood together and proposes a new kind of type of park. It offers something for everybody in the area. And because it tucks away the car, it favors nature in its place, I think is very commendable. And I hope that it turns out like the images that we see in front of us.
The AIA Pennsylvania Government Award is given in recognition of significant contributions to or particular support of the profession and business of architecture and/or the built environment. AIA Pennsylvania presents the PA Public School Building Construction and Reconstruction Advisory Committee with the 2018 Government Award. The PlanCon Advisory Committee was established pursuant to Act 25 of 2016 to review and make recommendations related to the program for state reimbursement for construction and reconstruction and lease of public school buildings, commonly known as PlanCon. The committee has worked closely with AIA Pennsylvania to ensure architects' expertise is heard during the modernizing and streamlining of the school construction funding equation, all the while ensuring the health, safety, and welfare of students and teachers that occupy school buildings. Medal of Distinction is the highest award bestowed upon a living AIA Pennsylvania member. As President and CEO of Pittsburgh-based WTW Architects, Richard DeYoung, FAIA, provides firm-wide leadership.
When I was a young child, I grew up outside of New York City, and we would go to the city and see the wonderful buildings and the great urban spaces. My dad was also a custom home builder, so I spent time building houses with him, and I really wanted to build houses. And Dad said, "You need to go to college and get a real job." And when I was in 5th grade, I went to the architect's office with him that he used, and I said, "There, I can do what I want to do and what he wants me to do. I can build buildings and I can design them and go to college." So I knew from 5th grade, and I've never regretted it. It's been a lot of fun. There have been a number of things that I've done that are significant. I think the first one is advocacy, and advocating for the profession through the AIA, which has been a tremendous opportunity. And that really started when I was president of AIA Pittsburgh, and we decided that we needed to be more engaged, so we organized a mayoral debate with Tom Murphy. And I said to our members, Tom is going to remember us one way or the other. And when Tom walked into the room and saw all the architects there were, I don't know, maybe 150, he looked at me and he said, "I didn't know architects were so engaged." I thought that was wonderful. And then at the state level, I was very engaged with various legislative efforts, building code, the RAC. In my national role, I met just a group of wonderful architects from all over the country doing all kinds of amazing things. And you know, you think you're doing great things, and then you meet all these other people and you go, wow, there are so many good things people are doing. And having that connection, those are lifelong friends now that I've made. So when you ask about what's important to a young professional starting, I think there are a couple of things. One would be listen. Don't think you're always right. A lot of people have good ideas. I know in our practice it's highly collaborative. We're often asked, who designed a building? Who's the lead designer? And we look around the office and go, well, there were 3 or 4 of us. I'm not really sure, because we collaborate. So good ideas come from a lot of places. And I guess the final advice I would give is hand sketch. Draw every day. It's a tool that we have. There's a connection, I believe, between the eye and the mind and the hand that you only get by hand sketching. And look, I'm a computer geek in our office. I've pushed computerization. I love what we can do with computers. But to meet with a client and have a piece of paper and say, is this what you're talking about? And sketch it for them and have their eyes open is just one of the most exciting things you can do. So hand sketch every day. I think that our firm, WTW, has been a leader in designing for quality of life for universities and colleges around the country. And that has been a tremendous opportunity to impact lives of young students and create an environment where they feel safe and they feel engaged, they can meet friends, they can excel academically. I think having that kind of impact on young people in this country throughout my career has been really rewarding. I think that a few years ago when my peers selected me to be a fellow of the AIA was probably a high point for me, although I'm not sure that today isn't the high point with this award as well. Being recognized by your peers, and so many people do so much good work, and having your peers say you stand out is very humbling and rewarding.
The highest Architectural Excellence Design Award honor is the Silver Medal. A Silver Medal is granted, at the jury's discretion, to a project or projects that are distinguished as the most exemplary design quality. This award is brought to you by project consultant Thornton Tomasetti. For the architecture category in London, UK, we present Kieran Timberlake with the Silver Medal Award for the U.S. Embassy in London.
For our Silver Award in Architecture, we are going to award the U.S. Embassy in London. The jury felt that this was an amazing project. I have to also tell you the reason that our third juror is not here is because our third juror is Casey Jones, who was in fact the client for the U.S. Embassy in London.
So I think we thought the project was exemplary in many ways. First of all, the design is it's very engaging in terms of the way that it connects to its site. We particularly like the fact that it changes, the facades change based around orientation. We felt as though its relationship to its site in terms of the park was quite interesting. We understand that there's quite a lot of constraints put on these kind of buildings to set back from the public way for safety and security issues, yet we thought that it engaged the City of London quite naturally in some ways. It certainly is a landmark in the city along the river, and it's very accessible in so many other ways.
The designers made what might have been regarded as a controversial decision by making this a glass building. But we thought that was really a superb move because it proves that security and openness and democracy don't need to be exclusive.
For the architecture category in Swarthmore, Pennsylvania, we present Digsaw with the Silver Medal Award for the PPR Student Apartments.
So the Palmer, Pittenger, and Roberts Residence Hall at Swarthmore College was given a Silver Design Award by the jury. I think that we all felt that the project did an excellent job at helping to create a traditional campus courtyard in an untraditional way, and served as a great edge not only to that courtyard but to the ball field that it borders up against in the back.
We really appreciated the innovative site planning. Essentially, the architects used a new form, or a relatively new form for residential, but by carefully scaling it and clothing it in the fabric of Swarthmore College, they created a lot of spaces that really fit.
I think a lot of the projects that we saw today reutilized existing community assets in really interesting ways. This project reutilizes the baseball field, other quad-type community public spaces and landscapes. And it seems as though it not only took advantage of those things to strengthen them, but then it also distributed itself across those amenities in a way that engaged them in new ways. So also in terms of design for this particular project, I was really impressed with the box, the volumetric box, which is very simple, but yet because of the way that it was, the way that the different parts were oriented around this quad and in relationship to that ball field, especially with this connecting corridor that is a shared public space, it was really quite successful the way it put all those pieces together in a very unified project in the end.
The Firm of the Year Award is given to any firm or successor firms, whether an individual or an organization of architects, in which the continuing collaboration among individuals of the firm has been the principal force in consistently producing distinguished architecture for a period of at least 10 years. MGA Partners pursues architecture as a human act, reflecting aspirations for a better life and public responsibility. They focus our work in the context of art, and we design in a language of form that is universal. MGA Partners considers the way a building and its component pieces are made simultaneously with how they will be perceived and used. Guided by strong principles refined through experience, they realize their work through a balanced attention to design, technology, and building craft. Congratulations to the 2018 Firm of the Year, MGA Partners. We'd like to extend thanks to our sponsors: Brightwood Architecture Education, Finner and Esler, Klein and Hoffman, Langan, Members First Federal Credit Union, Offit Kermanen, Attorneys at Law, MMP&S, Desmone Architects, University of Pennsylvania, Civil and Environmental Consultants, Inc. Thank you to our submitters, and thank you to our hosts and our guests.